I think you guys are ready for a demo. But let's go ahead and set the stage first. What we're going to do is configure the Wired Brain Coffee WBC's virtual private cloud. Now, Wired Brain Coffee is my fictional company that we're going to use throughout the different scenarios. So what I've done here for the Wired Brain Coffee VPC design is we're going to select a region. In that region, we're going to create a VPC. Now, for the VPC, we have to select a CIDR block. So for me, the CIDR block is going to be 192.168.0.0 with a /16. Now, inside of the VPC, we're going to create multiple subnets. We're going to create 2 private subnets, and we're going to create 1 public subnet or a DMZ. Now, for the public subnet or the DMZ, we're going to use the CIDR block 192.168.1.0 with a /24. And we're going to do .2.0 for one of the public private subnets and 3.0 for the other private subnet. Now, what we're also going to do is we're going to put 2 of the subnets in availability zone A and 1 of the subnets in availability zone B. Now, for the private subnet, we're going to create instances, right? So in the private subnet, you can have instances like database servers, you can have instances like application servers, like file servers. Anything that you don't want to expose to the internet with a public IP address will typically be in a private subnet. In the public subnet, we're going to put things that are internet facing, typically web servers, NAT servers, VPN servers, etc. All of these things will typically be in a public facing subnet or a DMZ. And again, in the other private subnet, you could put other servers, application servers, for example. For the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to focus on the database server and the web server. You kind of get the point, but I just wanted to illustrate from a design perspective how you can do this. Now, as I'm showing you this, and as you get more familiar with AWS, you'll start to find that there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to design these things. But again, for the purposes of our demonstration, this design was straightforward, so we're going to go ahead and do that. What we're also going to do is we're going to figure out how to have these instances connect to the internet. So we have our router is within our VPC, and the router, in order to get access to the internet, will need to go through an internet gateway. So we're also going to configure that. And we're going to configure the web-facing instances, the web server, for example, to have a direct access to the internet. It's going to have an elastic IP address, so it'll be internet-facing in, from both ways. You can connect to it, and you can also browse the internet directly from it. Now, for the instances and for the services that are going to be in the private subnets, those aren't going to have an elastic IP address or a public IP address, so you won't be able to access them directly from the internet, and they also won't have access to connect to the internet for updates or browsing or for whatever purposes. They won't also have internet connection until we configure a NAT gateway or a NATway instance or an appliance that will allow these instances to then communicate with the internet through that NAT instance. So you'll be able to, these instances will gain internet access through this NAT instance. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the management console and configure this environment.